All right, folks, if you're stumbling across us, we are the Denko Gridiron Show. John Piper with Grayson Nolette. We're getting our pre-show notes ready to start right at noon Central. Make sure you share out the stream, comment, and we appreciate you being here on your Wednesday at lunch. How you doing, Grayson?
Doing great today. Doing great. I am just, like you said, busting out the last second notes I got here. Getting geared up.
Yeah, we'll be right back with you here in about 5 minutes. Grayson's always creating new content for the show, so we're uploading some graphics. You're going to get some loop back there, Grayson. Audio coming in your mic.
There we go. I think we're looking good.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure the technical sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you could comment, there's a few folks on. Let us know audio, video. We think it looks good on our end. Audio is good. Let us know. I always like your feedback. Let us know where you're tuning in from, too, folks. And I haven't been outside since I got in here early this morning, Grayson. What's the weather like out there? Well, help to turn your mic on.
I was going to say, it's a little
Grayson was
today.
muted there.
A little breezy. So, not hot or anything, but I think the high today is like 77 or something. So it's going to be another beautiful day, very similar to yesterday here in North Texas.
Yeah, we will get started in about 3 minutes, folks. Make sure you share this out. We're going to do another giveaway this week, too, Grayson. People that are tuned in.
We've been kind of teasing.
We like giving stuff away here on the show. Big show today. Live
hoping
Wednesday.
that everybody's happy to join us again. Another Wednesday. Plenty of games to talk about from this last week and this week as well. Basically, everybody played this last week, John, and everybody's playing this upcoming Friday. We've got no cancellations or delays at the moment, which is great to hear. We love to hear it. Let us know where y'all are tuning in from. Let us know who you're rooting for.
Got some new pre-show music there for you, Grayson. I know how you like to get your beat on there.
Interesting. Thank you for that, Bo. Let me know if I'm coming in a little bit better now.
You say you couldn't hear you a minute ago?
It says I'm coming in a little quiet, which is not normal for me. I feel like I'm usually the opposite.
Oh, you know what? I may have changed it. Yep, that's probably it. And appreciate your feedback, Bo.
We appreciate it.
That should help us out there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not used to not being heard.
I think once we
I'm used to the opposite.
Once we kill the audio feed. Sean McClary checking in.
Sean, we always
Frisco.
appreciate you checking us out. We think you'll like today's show most likely.
Right. About 1 minute to showtime, folks. Make sure you share this out.
Bo says I'm sounding better now, John, so appreciate you,
Yeah,
Bo.
we made a few tweaks there because of your feedback, Bo. Appreciate that, man.
Oh, Sean McClary also says they got their Suckle Busters.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That is confirmed.
Awesome.
That's great to hear. We hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey, we would like you,
Sean,
and your wife's name's Kelly. I think that's off memory. If you could do it like a little photo deal with your Suckle Busters and tag the show, we would appreciate it. And tag Suckle Busters. They're great friends of the show, been helping us out since season 1. I've been, I don't know if I posted a picture this past weekend. I did another brisket. I don't know if I posted to Denko Gridiron, but I've been using some Suckle Busters and did a brisket over the weekend. We did brisket tacos.
You really get the social media fans going with those barbecue posts. You're cooking up all types of things on the weekends.
Well, folks, we got Cassidy tuning in from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Man, that's pretty cool through the miracle of technology. Now, hey, we thought we would surprise everybody and just do an election 2020 show today versus football.
Yeah, I'm sure.
What do y'all think
everyone
about
was
that?
really looking forward to that.
We thought about it, but then we thought, nah, we'll stick to Texas high school football. No political talk today, Grayson.
None for you either,
None.
sir. Only football.
Zilch.
All right. When we're in this room, we only talk football. That's it.
Hey, we do want to take the top of the hour, and we want to do another giveaway. If you'll do hashtag Marty Bees.
Yeah.
Hashtag Marty
Bees. Yeah.
And go and like their page on Facebook. And you can do that on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. We're not on Instagram today. YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, or the Facebook channel. And then on the podcast, well, matter of fact, I better start the podcast.
Yeah, we better start the podcast. But you guys should also go ahead and check out Marty B's website at martybeesplace.com.
Yeah.
Is another place where they'll have links to all of their social media as well. If you're having trouble finding it on Facebook, you can also find a link to their Facebook on their website.
Yeah, let me reset everything for our podcast listeners, too. This is the Denko Gridiron Show, live each and every Wednesday. Grayson Nolette, along with John Piper, bringing you some of the best Texas high school football, not just in North Texas, but the entire state, Grayson. Some of the best teams are right here in our own backyard. So if you will go on the podcast, you can go to our Facebook page, Twitter, Periscope, and also YouTube, and do hashtag Marty B. We're going to give away a $25 gift card to Marty B's next week on the show. Yeah,
over there in Bartonville, Texas. Make sure you guys go and check them out. My fiance and I, we've got our engagement party is about 2 weeks out. So I'm going to hopefully have an opportunity to take a bunch of pictures, some videos for you guys about what their private events are like over there, because that's something they're really well known for, John. And I think they're also going to have some live music when we're out there as well for our engagement party. So we'll also get to check out some live music at Marty B's for the first time. It's just a great environment, great place to take your family, take your loved one. You guys got to go check them out. Make sure you go to their website, martybeesplace.com, and make sure you put hashtag Marty B in the comments, and also go like their Facebook page.
Yeah, they are one of our supporters of the show. And also, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way as well. Our friends at Bud Bartley Homes, budbartleyhomes.com. They've been building in North Texas for over 30 years, building new construction in 3 different neighborhoods right here in North Texas. Grayson got 18 lots right on Lake Grapevine overlooking the Gaylord Texan, also building on 2-acre lots in Copper Canyon as well as Highland Village. They're located right there in Flower Mound, Texas. And I can speak very confidently about them because they built my home over 15 years ago. Check them out, budbartleyhomes.com.
Prime stuff coming out of Bud Bartley Homes. They've got all the pictures and all the examples of their work that you could possibly need on their website. They do a great job of showing all different types of exterior and interior stuff that they do, John.
Well, hey, who is ready to talk a little football?
We've got plenty to talk about.
I got
this
my
week,
man,
John.
Grayson Nolette.
Games.
Man, he is the prognosticator. Have you heard that word before?
I have
Grayson?
not. I was about to say
that's
a $10 word right there.
You might have to Google that one. But just get right into it. Geyer Wildcats, I was on the call in that game against the Prosper Eagles, was last Thursday night.
What a game.
Yeah, crazy game. Geyer never did lead this game until there was 0 time left on the clock.
Now, for anybody that forgets, John, you're on the call for these every week for Denton Geyer.
Yeah, Rick,
so, I mean,
Rick
you're there watching
and
this
I
happen.
do Geyer Radio. We're fortunate, one of the things we do here in the community. And I should have had Rick's audio queued up on that game-winning touchdown because it's an exciting. Maybe we'll grab that and put it out on the Facebook
go ahead
page
and
or
just
something.
Walk myself and our audience through that final touchdown and kind of how it got to that point real quick.
Yeah, Prosper, very athletic team. Prosper gave the Geyer Wildcats all they wanted. And actually, Prosper scored to take the lead. However, they missed the point after attempt. So they just have a 6-point lead.
PATs.
Kicker was strong, but it looks like he pulled it just a little left. It looked, from our angle up in the press box, it looked like it got in the the goalpost, but it was wide left. So Prosper has a 6-point lead, I believe, with about 2 minutes left in the game. And Eli Stowers, the Geyer Wildcats, have an opportunity to march down and at least tie the game or go for the win with a point after attempt. And it gets down to, I believe it was about 4th and 5. It'd be the last play of the game with literally 4 or 5 seconds left on the clock. And now this is just off memory, so I think I'm pretty accurate on this.
Yeah, I believe you. You're painting the picture
unbelievable.
Right now.
I know.
You're painting the picture.
But
I mean, wow.
I'm not reading this off the stat sheet or anything. So Eli Stowers, 6'3", 220-pound Texas A&M commit. You think 4th and 5, you really, if I'm drawing up the play, you really got to throw the ball. You know, if you get tackled short of the goal line, game over, right?
Yeah, you're thinking dump off in the flat, maybe something like that.
I think a pass option, but he saw over on that left side, he just tucked it and ran, and with authority gets the touchdown. Geyer, with no time left on the clock, comes in for the point after attempt. It's good. Geyer wins an emotional, hard-fought game on the road. And we were talking up in the booth, Rick and I, and we have Quincy Hort up there and Kyle Rogers, what that game will do the rest of the season for each team. You know, you can see Prosper, kind of dropping their head a little bit. Geyer was ecstatic.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And I'm going to be talking to Coach Webb later today. Did get a chance to talk to Coach Heim before we came on the air, the defensive coordinator at Geyer, really about the upcoming Braswell game. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But just a great victory for Geyer, 24-23. And, start with Eli Stowers. He threw the ball 22 times, pretty efficient, 14 of 22, 181 yards. But he tucked it and ran it 22 times. A lot of that was due to pressure. The defensive unit for Prosper did a nice job covering up their backs. And one kind of footnote to this is Grayson O'Bara, one of the go-to receivers for the Geyer Wildcats, got injured. I don't know if he played any snaps in the third quarter, but he kind of tweaked his back a little bit, and he's a target, a speedster, a target downfield. And, that kind of changed the dynamics of Geyer's offense.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely sucks to hear. There's just nothing else to say about it. He ended the game with just 3 catches for 25 yards. And when you mentioned that, that he had gotten hurt in the game, I was like, geez, I mean, what a great story. Like a kid that nearly lost his arm has been playing amazing this year. First player on our show to get Gridiron Player of the Week for a second time. I mean, it's just been putting on some great performances. And, to hear that, I mean, it's just a completely different injury. Like you said, it's a tweak to his back or something like that, and had to go out. Like, you hate to hear it. And now, amazing win for Geyer. The only time you lead is when you get the dub. I don't think there's any better situation to really be in if you're the Wildcats. And like you said, I think that this definitely has major impacts on how both of these teams are going to go about the rest of their season. I mean, Prosper was looking great coming into this game.
We've got one of your new graphics up, Grayson, the Geyer Wildcats, the first place. And that was another thing. It kind of dictated put Geyer in the first place and potentially a good seeding for the playoffs as well. BJ Phillips, one thing that Prosper did is they really held Geyer on their running game. BJ Phillips only had 40 yards on 15 attempts, and Ty Aldridge 25 yards on 12 carries. So they really, really shut down Geyer's running attack. And I think once, like you mentioned, Grayson O'Bara went out of the game, they could really stack the line and
really bring
had some great linebackers and could really converge on that running game. And it was just hard for Geyer to get things going running the ball.
Yeah, I mean, overall, both of these teams have electric offenses. So 24-23 is honestly a pretty low-scoring game. It was just that, in my eyes, a 24-23 final, the only time Geyer, how close this game was, I think that just goes to show how evenly matched that both of these programs really were. There's always some sort of mismatch. Maybe one team's got the better offense, one team's got the better defense, but I think both of these teams brought just a ton of talent on both sides of the ball to the table, and I think that certainly resulted in the final score.
As far as the receivers, Jace Wilson, again, he's starting to get more and more comfortable and confident. Big target, about 6'4", 215, 220, plays basketball as well, and starting to get more comfortable. He did not play football last season, but starting to get more comfortable at that wide receiver position. Have 4 catches for 62 yards. Like I mentioned, Grayson O'Bear was a little limited because he went out of the game, only 3 catches, 25 yards. And then DeMarcus Howard, 2 catches and 56 yards. Should we go ahead and just talk about the big game of the week?
Well, I say let's go ahead and break down what happened with Braswell this past week, and then we'll jump into this Friday's matchup, because Braswell, a little bit different of a story this past Friday in their matchup against the Little Elm Lobos. They thankfully get back on track after a really tough loss to McKinney Boyd. And I said that they were going to get back on track this week against Little Elm, and they certainly did that. Right back to business, 68-27 blowout. Tristan McClary, star of the show, 14 of 18. That's awesome completion percentage. 285 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air. Also had over 100 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown this week. Tristan McClary was hungry, and so was the rest of the team. D. Gafford and Jamarian Sanford both did their thing. 4 touchdowns between the two of them. J.K. Carter over 125 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns on just 3 catches. Braswell took care of
great
business
bounce back game,
Definitely.
from that previous week.
Absolutely.
Coach Cody Moore, matter of fact, I'm going to talk to him later today in preparation of the Geyer-Braswell matchup. And, another storyline is Coach Cody Moore was the offensive coordinator at Rockwall with Coach Rodney Webb.
Wow.
When Coach Rodney Webb was the head coach at Rockwall. So not only is it a district battle right here in our own backyard, a new rivalry that'll start on Friday night, but they've got a history together as well.
I mean, to think that, if we were trying to talk about a game like this, the Geyer Wildcats versus the Braswell Bengals like 4 years ago, it would just be a completely different story. It would be, I hate to say it's similar to the Ryan and Denton High matchup earlier this year. You would have walked in and been like, yeah, Geyer's probably going to do what Geyer does against a, fairly new Braswell team. But now here we are. 2020 is a wild year, and it's also wild in Texas high school football to see Braswell at 4-2 right now, taking on 4-1 Geyer, and this is the game of the week for us. We were talking a little bit before the show. We're like, I don't know how this one's going to go. Both teams are so talented. It's going to be at CH Collins. So, it's more like there's no home field advantage. Both of those teams play there Friday night, 7:00. It's not a Thursday game or anything like that. So both teams get a full week of practice. It's a must win for both crews as well. There's a lot riding here. And I think that the thing about this is, if Geyer wins, I feel like Geyer's kind of in a lose-lose situation in this game to an extent. Because if Geyer wins, they're like, okay, yeah, you did what you're supposed to do. You beat the newer school. But if Geyer loses, this is a monumental win for Braswell and their program.
Geyer has a couple of injuries that'll be game time decisions.
And we haven't even mentioned that as well. We aren't 100% sure if Grayson O'Bear is going to play.
Knox Boyd got banged up a little bit last week.
Boyd was banged up.
Big offensive tackle for Geyer.
We don't know any specific names.
I'm not sure on the injury report for Braswell though.
Braswell, we don't know.
That's just part of the deal. This mid-season, you're going to have some kids that get banged up. On paper,
it looks like a lose-lose for Geyer, and for Braswell, it's a huge opportunity to kind of send a statement to the city of Denton and to the rest of Texas high school football to really prove, if you want to say you are the real deal up here in Denton, you beat the number 1 Denton team, and that's the Geyer Wildcats. And that's a task.
We're looking forward to this one.
It'll be really exciting
the more
Collins. You look at it. And then you said the history between Cody Moore
I glanced at the weather. I think it's
Rodney Webb. There's just so many storylines in this game. 2 great quarterbacks, tons of talent at wide receiver, on the defensive side of the ball, all over the field. Wow, this one should be nationally televised, John. It really should.
Yeah, Braswell's going to really stretch out that. Geyer's got a star-studded defensive backfield led by Deuce Harmon, the A&M commit, Jordan Eubanks, Jaden Fugit. A couple really good players back there. It'll be a great test of Texas high school football on Friday night.
Yeah, and for everybody listening, let us know in the comments who you think's going to win, Geyer versus Braswell. We want to know. We want to know what everybody's feeling, how they're looking at that matchup. What do you think the key's going to be? And make sure you go ahead and comment, share this, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Get everybody involved. Let's figure out who's going to win this one.
Yeah, I put that in the comment section. So we are thinking alike. Let's see. Here's one. Sean McClary says 42-35 Braswell in a shocker.
Wow, that's
adjustments on defense for Braswell and a difference maker. Braswell offense gets a weapon back in Jacob Hernandez. There you go.
So opposite of
Jacob's been injured.
Yeah, injury update, I guess. There
nothing
for
like
Braswell.
Getting the feet on the street. Now, Bo Peacock kind of neutralizes that pick with a Geyer 45, Braswell 35 selection.
That just goes to show that this is going to be a really fun matchup. So everybody, that's our game of the week this week. Keep your eyes on it, whether you're going to be at the game or if you're going to be checking it out online.
Yeah, that one will be a lot of fun. And, that's kind of why we do what we do. Matchups like that, they don't come around often.
They don't. And like I said,
kind of like the Mound Showdown.
This would have just been
Mound.
a totally different game 4 years ago. And now it's our game of the week here in 2020. And I love to see it. I can't wait to see how it goes down.
It'll be neat when they get that new stadium built at Braswell, a more intimate stadium on campus, and they'll have some games there. It's probably starting in 2022, I believe. But, well, hey, enough about Geyer Braswell. We can keep talking about that one
here. Let's move on over to Flower
talking about that one. Yeah, let's go to Marcus, Flower Mound Marcus versus Plano last week. Marcus continues to roll with the win, 56-17.
Yeah, and Garrett Nussmeier continues to be the engine that makes that train run over there with the Marauders, 19-22, 342 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns passing, no interceptions. He's number 1 in 6A now in completions and touchdowns. And it seems like this Marcus team just continues to put more and more on the shoulders of Nussmeier. Like at the beginning of the year, you thought, yeah, the talent's kind of spread around, but like, without Garrett Nussmeier out there on the field, I mean, this is just a completely different Marcus team, and there hasn't been a single group so far this season that has managed to stop him.
Yeah, first in District 6A, and it will be interesting to see if anything can slow them down. I mean, we haven't seen it thus far this season.
And honestly, the Marauders have struggled a little bit on the grounds in 2020, but they actually had a bit of a run game going with Caden Navarro, 11 carries, 119 yards and a touchdown. And then Gabe Espinoza had 87 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So this is definitely one of the better rushing performances out of the Marauders running backs as well. And we know that receiving core is going to do what it does. Dallas Dudley, 80 yards and a touchdown. Michael Sturdivant had a touchdown. Connor Vaughn had a touchdown. And that Marcus defense, 2 interceptions in this matchup as well. And we know that Garrett Nussmeier likes to capitalize on those things, and Marcus currently definitely in the driver's seat in 6A.
Well, next up, they have a pretty formidable opponent in Capel. Capel's 4-1. They play Friday night at 7:00 as well. Capel always brings a pretty solid team to that district.
Yeah, the Cowboys definitely have a better group in 2020 than they did in 2019, and that's just on both sides of the ball. They don't really have any stars like Garrett Nussmeier in their ranks, to my knowledge, and I think that this is definitely, game of the season so far for a Capel team that's honestly been playing really well. They're sitting at 4-1, way better than their start to last season. And I think that this is a situation where if the Cowboys go in there with a really solid game plan, keep the ball out of Garrett Nussmeier's hands. That's no team has managed to do it enough to where they keep points off the board.
Keep that Marcus offense off the field. That's the best way to beat a high.
Nobody's done it yet. It seems like Garrett Nussmeier's throwing 3 or 4 touchdowns every single week. Somebody's got to make it happen, and it might be the Cowboys.
Good stuff. A Flower Mound Jaguars, playing tough football all season long. They take the Hebron Hawks. We knew it's going to be a tough game for Flower Mound on the road.
Yep.
And, we talk about it each and every week. Flower Mound's defense holds Hebron to only 14 points. The downside is the Flower Mound offense can only put 14 on the board. That game goes to overtime, and Flower Mound had a chance to win it in OT, missed a field goal. Hebron ends up scoring a touchdown to win that one in overtime.
Yeah, this was a heartbreaker for the Flower Mound Jaguars. It seemed like that there was a chance when Nick Ewers actually tied it up with a 30-yard touchdown to Parker Clark with 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So game gets tied up there. And then the Flower Mound defense, as you said, John, did what it does, which is dominate for the entire fourth quarter, hold off the Hebron Hawks.
Yeah, for 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, they kept them off the board. And
goes to overtime. And it's terrible, but Flower Mound in the second overtime actually has an opportunity to win this game, and they miss the potential game-winning 39-yard field goal. So there's your first heartbreaker right there. You should have won it in the second overtime. Then you go into the third overtime, and for people who Texas high school football OT in the second overtime, Flower Mound gets the second possession, which means they get the first in the third overtime. So in the third overtime, the Jaguars kick a field goal, which means if Hebron scores a touchdown, they win. And that's exactly what happened. And 25-20, the final score there. There's a reason why I didn't predict this game last week, because I wasn't sure how it was going to go down. I thought both of these teams were really evenly matched. And once again, it goes to show just right there, triple overtime came right down to the final play.
Yeah, Parker Clark came up big, 8 catches, 142 yards.
Best game of the season for him.
Isaac Carpenter, 5 catches for 41 yards. And Walker Mulkey, 4 catches for 42 yards. Flower Mound had 1 interception and only allowed 1.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, the Jaguars certainly they forced Hebron to go through the air, and the Hawks were able to do that, to be perfectly honest with you. Weston Conaway had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions for that Hawks passing game, and Hebron was just able to squeak by and stay undefeated in district play.
Well, one nice thing we've got going for us here, fans, is Grayson is the voice of the Louisville Fighting Farmers. Calls their play-by-play on most Friday nights.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little excited to have the opportunity to talk about the Louisville Fighting Farmers. So why don't you
break down this upcoming matchup? I'll just give it all to you.
Yeah, I know we've got...
I did get a chance to visit with Coach Basil the other day, so I may weave in something, but Louisville Fighting Farmers and the Flower Mound Jaguars.
Yep, and this one's going to be at Flower Mound. This is the second year in a row that this matchup is taking place at Flower Mound, and that's due to redistricting this season. So the Jaguars have the opportunity to get home field advantage against the Fighting Farmers for the second year in a row. And by the way, while I'm talking about this game, let us know in the comments who you guys think are going to win between Flower Mound and Louisville. I'd really like to hear y'all's opinions on this game. But this is definitely an interesting matchup. It's one that right off the bat, I'll say I cannot predict who's going to win. I think it's another really evenly matched game. Flower Mound 2-3. Louisville's coming off a win over Plano East this past Friday. 56-42 was the final in that one. Really high scoring game. Louisville has one of the most talented offenses in 6A, much less 6A. I'd say it's between Louisville and Marcus, between who's got the best offense in that district. Louisville's got a D1 quarterback in Taylon Green, who's going to Boise State. They've got the best running back in 6A in Damian Martinez, who's currently got an offer from Kansas and over 1,000 yards rushing and 14 touchdowns this year. The dude has been a beast for Louisville. And the Fighting Farmers also have 2 really good receivers in Armani Winfield and Isaiah Stevens. Armani's got several D1 offers, and Stevens is most likely going to get a couple. He's the number 2 receiver in 6A right now. And I think that this is going to be a really fun game to see this Louisville offense go against that dominant Flower Mound defense. And I think that that's really the key to this one, is how that matchup goes. And the thing about the Fighting Farmers is, as talented as their offense is, they've been inconsistent on defense this year. So we might see Nick Ewers really go off here against Louisville at home. Could be a big opportunity for the Jaguars to maybe come out big if Louisville's not able to execute on defense.
I had a chance to catch up with Coach Basil, after that tough loss, and he said his kids have really bounced back. You learn from adversity, but they're going to be ready to go, and should be another classic game that we'll be talking about next week.
And I actually also got to interview head coach of the Louisville Fighting Farmers, Mike Odell, on yesterday. And I'm not going to get too deep into that interview because I want everybody to listen to my broadcast on Friday to hear the whole thing. But the only thing I'll say is Coach Odell has this one circled on his calendar. Flower Mound's the only team that Mike Odell has not beaten since he's become the head coach of Louisville 4 years ago. And it's certainly starting to get to him. The Fighting Farmers have had an opportunity to win the last 2 years. They had a 34-7 lead 2 years ago, and they blew it 31 unanswered by Flower Mound in the second half. And then this past year, the Jaguars scored with 20 seconds on the clock to come out with a 3-point victory. So Louisville is certainly hungry for this win in particular. And the fact that it's a district matchup makes it that much more exciting, honestly.
Well, Grayson next up, and the high-flying Ryan Raiders. I'll just call them the Ryan Raider Express. They played Frisco Centennial. A little controversy a few weeks ago when Ryan had to take their hiatus due to COVID. Frisco kind of switched gears, and we're going to force Ryan to a forfeiture, and that didn't set well. They ended up reversing that. They didn't have to forfeit the games, but I think that was still in the back of Ryan's mind when they went to play Frisco, and they ended up winning that game 68-28.
Yeah, Seth Hennigan is on a tear right now himself with the Ryan Raiders. And I feel like with just the way that Ryan plays football, I feel like Seth Hennigan could be throwing 7 touchdowns a game if he really wanted to. But I just don't feel like that's the way that Ryan runs their offense. They're not always just trying to air it out all game. But Seth Hennigan is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in 6-6A. It seems like he's consistently throwing 3 or 4 touchdowns every week with no interceptions. Great completion percentage, 12 of 14 this week, 288 yards, 4 scores. He's number 4 at 5A in touchdowns, number 9 in yards. And he's so efficient. He does a great job of connecting with several different receivers. All 4 of his touchdowns were to 4 different guys. And that Raiders defense has also been very dominant in 2020. They had 2 fumbles in this matchup. They allowed just 2.8 yards per carry out of the Frisco Centennial run game. And John, I didn't know that little side piece there about this game possibly getting forfeited. And Dave Hennigan probably did not take too kindly.
A couple weeks ago, there was a couple games that we're going to have to forfeit. Hey, we do like to make corrections as we go. I know you were probably thinking of Quinn Ewers.
Yep.
But it's Nick Evers.
Yeah, thank you for that,
Brandy
Brandy.
Votney.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we always like to get the names right. So we go at a fast pace here, so we're not always perfect. But
I talk a lot of Texas high school football. I get some guys mixed up. Nick Evers. Yeah, Nick Evers deserves that respect, though.
Quarterback.
I talk about him too much to mess up his name.
So thank you, Brandy, for tuning in and helping us out on that one.
And of course, everybody in the comments is rooting for Flower Mound. I'm not saying I'm rooting for Louisville. Like I said, I'm not making a prediction for this game because I feel like it's going to be a really close matchup. I just know a lot about that team. I call them every Friday night, but I'm still a professional. I'm still a broadcaster. I'm not about to be a fanboy over here. And I truly do think that this is going to be a really good game.
Hey, one thing, again, we have very limited sponsor partners, but we would love for some of the patrons of the show, some of the fans of the show, to get involved in what we do. If you go to patreon.com/, it's on the screen now for you podcast listeners, /Dentco, you can see some ways to help support the show for as little as $9. And part of that, we donate to charity, Living for Zachary, that does free health screenings and some things for athletes. It's all about the community, but we want to continue to enhance what we're doing. We've got some new equipment ordered and some cameras. And if you could help us out there, patreon.com/Dentco.
We appreciate anything that you guys,
fantastic.
Anything you guys can contribute to the show is much appreciated. And we're constantly seeking improvement over here. That's kind of the office motto for John and I. We like to make this thing fresh. Improvement. We like to keep it real. We like to keep it quality for you guys. And that's where all those Patreon contributions are going to go, is right back into the show to continue to make it better for you guys.
Good stuff right there.
Great stuff. Let's move on.
Yes, sir.
We got Denton High now. The Broncos, they were on the road this week against the Frisco Independence Knights. And the Broncos, unfortunately, I was afraid that the Knights were going to come in and cruise a little bit. And that was unfortunately what happened. 63-7, the final in that one, as Denton takes a pretty brutal loss. Coco Brown, the lone bright spot for the Broncos, 15 carries, 84 yards and a touchdown. And John, I don't want to get too negative here about this game. And, you and I don't harp on blowouts that often, but man, Denton High is struggling at quarterback.
Yeah. What is it going to take to turn their season around? You feel for the kids, you feel for the program. We want all the teams we report on to do well, but they can't all be successful.
No, and it's just the reality of the situation. I mean, just look at the numbers. The Broncos at quarterback the last 2 weeks are 1 of 19 for -4 yards in an interception. They were 0 for 10 this week for nothing at quarterback. I mean, you're in 5A football. You will not win games playing like that. And Billy Miller's the first guy on that list to know that. And
offensive-minded guy.
Absolutely.
Receiver.
It's got to be frustrating. It's got to be beyond frustrating for him to see numbers like that. I mean, especially when he's had some great talent around him in this program, and the players just don't deserve that. It's just it's boring football to play. It's not fun football to play if you're the Denton Broncos. Billy Miller's got to do something. We need an open tryout. we need to bring up somebody from
Open Trout.
I don't know, but there's got to be something going on with the Den High Broncos. And I mean, no disrespect to Blake Corney, but dude, either look at yourself in the mirror and figure something out, or Billy Miller's got to make some changes, because Den High's not going to win games not doing anything.
Hey,
at quarterback.
Grayson Nolette, the raw and the real, man.
I'm keeping it real.
Call it like we
I
said,
love
right?
the Denton Broncos. I've been broadcasting them for 6 years. I hate to see this, but it's the reality of the situation. Denton High needs help at quarterback, and you've got talent at running back with Coco Brown. You have receivers who can make plays. Their defense is doing everything they can, but they need some help at quarterback. And it's got to happen this week. You're taking on a pretty tough Frisco Lone Star team.
Well, next up, they have a Thursday night game, short week for them, against the Frisco Lone Star Rangers. Frisco's 2-2, and it's gonna be another challenging night for the Denton Broncos.
The Rangers are a tough team. They're not as elite this year at 2-2 right now as they have been in years past. But make no mistake, they are arguably one of the best schools in Frisco, and they will go out there and they'll do exactly what Frisco Independence just did against Denton. If they can't get anything going in the passing game, you cannot be one-dimensional in Texas high school football, especially as high at the level as the Broncos play at in 5A. They've got to get something going at quarterback. I mean, Billy Miller's a smart guy. I'm sure he's completely aware of this and is going to try to figure something out. But it's tough to see. I really love the Denton Broncos organization and that school and that program and that team. I've called so many of the games, seen so many of their players succeed, and it's just tough to see this right now.
Hey, if you were just now stumbling on our show, we are the Denko Gridiron Show every Wednesday at noon. It's on the ticker there on the screen on YouTube, Facebook Live, Periscope, Twitter, and also on our podcast channel. You can get us on Apple Podcast, Spreaker, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify.
And we appreciate anybody who tunes in on any of our platforms. I know a couple people who like to listen on Twitter, who like to listen on YouTube. I just got a text from a friend of mine yesterday who said that they listened to last week's show last night on Spotify.
Nice.
So make sure you guys take advantage of all the routes that you can listen into the show. And don't be afraid to DM us, message us on our Facebook page or any of our social media. Let us know what you like about the show.
Yeah,
Let us know
especially
what you want
as
us
the
to
holidays
improve.
kick in and people are out of school, really, the football will go on. That's when I think the fan base really starts to kick in, Grayson. School's out of session, so they can, whether it's college or high school, and really start tuning in.
Yep, absolutely. And
next up,
next up,
Dallas.
We've got the Falcons. This was our one team that didn't play this past week, as they unfortunately had their game against the Princeton Panthers canceled due to COVID. So no recap for the Lake Dallas Falcons this week. So they basically got a bye. But this Friday, they've got a matchup against the Denison Yellow Jackets, who are currently 3-2. Lake Dallas sits at 1-4. That's a Friday night matchup. Lake Dallas is at home, so that's certainly big to not only have a bye week, but you're also at home. So that's big for them. But the Falcons were struggling the week before they got this bye week that due to COVID. And I don't know. I hope that Michael Young. Yeah, Michael Young and the rest of his coaching staff have made a couple of changes and adjustments and got this thing figured out. They have a star in Andre Minifield. I think Andre Minifield is arguably the best player on that Lake Dallas offense. I hope to see big numbers from him again this week against Denison.
I did get to visit with Coach Young briefly. He says they needed a game off. They've been pretty banged up and beat up. So hopefully that'll help fuel the Lake Dallas Falcons to some better things this second half of the season.
I think that this was the perfect time to have a bye week if you were the Lake Dallas Falcons. It was just right in the middle of your season. You've had a bit of a rough start at 1-4. This was a great time to, like you said, John, get healthy, get refocused, come up with a great game plan against a solid Denison team. And if they are able to come out with a win against the Yellow Jackets, you're the underdog in that matchup. That's a good Denison team, a big school. That'd be a solid win for them at home on Friday night.
Well, hey, next up, Coach Todd Rogers and the Argyle Eagles. Happy belated birthday to Coach Rogers. He had a birthday, I think, this past weekend. So he's having a great birthday season. Argyle just playing some great football, number one in 4A. And much like the Ryan Raiders and the Marcus Marauders, what's it going to take to slow down the Argyle Eagles?
I don't know. They took on the Terrell Tigers. 2 Fridays ago. This past Friday, they took on the Kaufman Lions. And it was just another day of business for the Argyle Eagles. 48-7 is the final score. CJ Rogers, number 1 in 4A in yards, number 1 in touchdowns, number 2 in completions. He's tops in that district. He actually has the slow day at just 240 yards and a touchdown. Efficient game for CJ Rogers, but it was Tito Bice who really took over for Argyle on this was senior night, John, by the way.
Good to see
Eagles.
Tito Bice really back in full swing.
Yeah.
How many carries did he have, Grayson?
10 carries, just 10 carries. But you and I know how much talent the Eagles have in that backfield. They really like to spread the ball around there, but he made the most of those 10 carries for 3 touchdowns. And I think that that's really the thing about Tito Bice is when he touches the ball, he's got the potential to take it all the way. And that was just an example of that this past Friday. 10 carries, 61 yards, 3 touchdowns. He led all 9 area teams this past week in touchdowns.
The Argyle defense continues to come up big. 2 interceptions and a fumble. Only allowed 3.3 yards per pass.
Yeah, the Argyle secondary really shut down Kaufman this past week, made them kind of have to resort to the ground game, and that just slows it down, kills the clock. And I think that's kind of the reason why Argyle only got to score 48. Kaufman probably was running the ball a lot, killed a lot of clock. Argyle could have easily put up a 50-burger or 60-burger in this one.
Hey, it's kind of weird looking down. Since 4A started their season during the regular time.
Yeah, like Argyle's 8-0
to
right
look
now.
down, and they're 8-0 going against Paris 6-3. That's kind of weird. That jumps out.
Yeah, it jumps out at me every week too. Yeah, and I mean Paris probably the best team that Argyle has seen this upcoming Friday since they played Melissa earlier in the season, and Melissa's like top 5 in 4A, and Argyle ran right through them. So Paris, even though that this is one of the better teams that the Eagles have seen in the last several weeks, the Wildcats sitting at 6-3 just doesn't really scare me too much. If I'm Todd Rogers, CJ Rogers, Cole Kirkpatrick, and the rest of these Argyle Eagles, they've just been on fire, John. I don't think anybody's going to stop them for the rest of the regular season at this time, and I don't expect Paris to either.
Yeah. Hey, next up.
Apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
Siri's talking to us over here on the side here.
Quiet,
Siri. We got too much technology up here in the studio some days, Grayson, but that's always fun. Hey, next up, Liberty Christian, man, they've really been struggling. We were talking pre-show and preparation. They may have their best chance of the season to get that W on the board against Fort Worth Nolan, the Vikings.
Well, this past Friday, I think you mean Bishop Lynch this coming.
Oh yeah.
Bishop Lynch this coming Friday. They took a beating from Fort Worth Nolan this past Friday.
Yeah,
50-13, the final in that one. We know how tough the Liberty Christian gauntlet of a schedule that they have. So unfortunately, the Vikings on paper were the better team coming into this one, and they took care of business against the Liberty Christian Warriors. Daniel Greek struggled, just 78 yards and a touchdown. Ty Strickland, though, 27 carries, 142 yards on the ground. He's number 1 in private schools right now in touches by a wide margin. I think he's got about double the carries to the second running back in the league. So Ty Strickland continues to be the workhorse for this Liberty Christian offense. He's also number 4 in rushing yards. Kellen Moran and Jalen McCausland both had touchdowns on just 1 catch each. So Liberty Christian got something going on offense at the very least. But John, as you were talking about, this Friday, they've got the Bishop Lynch Friars at home, 7:00 Friday. And I think that with Bishop Lynch at 0-4 as well, I looked at their schedule. They've been struggling just about as much as Liberty Christian has. This is the best chance for the Warriors to catch their first dub of 2020.
Yeah. I had a chance to visit with Coach Greek and the team on their media day before the season started, and just the eye test. I mean, Daniel Greek, quarterback, just the eye test. I mean, 6'2", 6'3", 220-pounder. Headed to, I believe it was Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And then they had a couple big tackles that had moved in, that go about 300, 3.25. And you thought, wow, having that protection up front. And they just have struggled all season long.
They've just been playing some really good teams up there in TAPS. And it's just it's been a tough road for them, but they've got a good matchup this Friday. Bishop Lynch has been struggling just as hard. They're looking for their first win of the year as well. So Liberty Christian should be aware of that. Bishop Lynch is obviously going to be hungry for their first dub of 2020 as well. But the Warriors got a shot here. They need to come in with a solid game plan. Daniel Greek's got to make some things happen. And Ty Strickland, as long as he continues to be the workhorse, maybe get a couple touchdowns on the board there in the run game as well. I like Liberty Christian's odds.
It looks like the show is kind of crowdsourced. You know what that means, right? The crowd kind of helps drive the show a little bit.
Right.
Josh, I believe he's an Argyle Eagle fan. I think we stand corrected. We'll have to double check, but he says Argyle is 9-0. We had him down as 8-0. So.
Argyle's 9-0.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
their dominant
imperfect,
streak's been a week longer
right?
than we thought. Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for tuning in. More importantly, we appreciate that. You know what? I think, and let us know in comments, what do y'all think about having a couple fans just call into the show? Maybe
we were kind of talking about
fans
this last week. We were wondering if fans maybe want to call in and talk about past games or
do that.
Games for
Let
the
us know in
upcoming
comments
week
if you would like that as part of a segment. Maybe
now if we're going to do it, you got to make sure you call in.
Yeah, we can do it. We have the technology to bring your call in. Now we don't have a 7-second delay, so that's a little concerning if somebody starts cussing us like a sailor or something.
Yeah,
like that,
we don't need any of that, please. We're trying to keep it PG up in here.
So that
we
would
can
be
keep
fun.
it real.
I call it kind of the fan zone. The fan zone.
Yeah, I'd like that.
A couple years ago.
Let us know what you guys think about that.
Actually, we can bring them on with the video feed as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something to add. We're always looking, like I said, constant everything improvement there, Grayson.
Trying to keep it fresh. Trying to keep it real.
Well, man, I think it's time for a segment that the fan base has really enjoyed the last couple weeks. The Gridiron Players of the Week.
Yeah, and I think that this is another thing that please let us know in the comments who you guys think should have been our quarterback, running back, and wide receiver player of the week. It's always fun to do these, and it's always fun to see the reactions on social media when we post them after the show. But let us know right now in the comments who you guys, if you like our picks or if you would have gone with somebody else. So why don't we go ahead and get started with the quarterback, John?
Yeah, jumping right up, and a player we talk about often here on the show, quarterback for the Braswell Bengals, Tristan McClary. And we try to say, you know what, we don't like to give it to the same player over and over again, but just the production on the field. I mean, you can't argue it.
I mean, we've also been doing this for several weeks now. I feel like we've been spreading the love pretty good. It's been several weeks since Tristan McClary's been on the Gridiron Player of the Week board, but now he's back. He just easily had the most dominant performance out of any quarterback this week. I don't even, and I don't hate to say that. I'm proud to say that Tristan McClary was a beast this week against the Little Elm Lobos. 14 of 18, 285 yards through the air, 4 passing touchdowns. He also had a crazy time running the ball, 6 carries, $104 on the ground, and another rushing touchdown. Led all quarterbacks in scores this week with 5 total. Led all quarterbacks in rushing yards. No other quarterback out of the 9 teams that we cover even came close to eclipsing 100 yards, John. And I mean, dominant 68-27 comeback win over Little Elm. It was no question. Tristan McClary was deserved this honor this week as our Gridiron Player of the Week at quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him live on Friday night up at CH Collins. I'm really looking forward to that one. If
Tristan McClary wants all the big scouts and all the big names looking at him, he wants to send a message this Friday that the Braswell Bengals are truly legit and that they are the best team in 2020 in Denton. And again, that would be a monumental win for everybody involved with the Braswell program if they're able to do that. Den Geyer is certainly a mountain to climb, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know CH Collins has some social distancing rules for media, but if that's relaxed at all, I'll try to get some comments from Tristan before the game.
Yeah, we know that CH Collins matchup between Denton Ryan and Denton Geyer was at its socially distanced capacity earlier this year. I expect to see the same thing this Friday.
Yeah, there's some
Braswell
protocols, and I'm sure just to protect all the fans that those will still be in place. But
sure.
I'll check with Coach Florence, the athletic director that is in charge of CH Collins, maybe right after the show. Well, hey, let me talk about the next one because I do follow Flower Mound pretty closely, and receiver for Flower Mound. Let me bring him up now. Parker Clark. Wow, had a big night. Really helped contribute to that. What's been a sluggish offense, candidly, this season for Flower Mound Jaguars. But he had 8 catches, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns from Nick Evers. And led all receivers in catches and TDs this week. First appearance of any Jaguar on the Gridiron Player of the Week.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't given a lot of love to Flower Mound so far this season. They've kind of just been getting I guess like outnumbered in the stat board by a lot of these other guys in 6A, like Tristan McClary and J. Michael Sturdivant and there's just so much talent out of all the teams that we talk about. It seems like Flower Mound, even when they've been having a good game, they've been getting a little overshadowed on the stat board. But Parker Clark came to play against the Hebron Hawks. 8 catches, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, led all 9 area teams at wide receiver in all 3 of those categories, catches, yards, and scores. He definitely deserved it this week at wide receiver.
And Colby chimes in. Way to go, Parker and Nick. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah,
that's a deadly duo when they're on, and they certainly made some things happen. And Parker Clark also made a touchdown in the catch in the fourth quarter that tied it all up to even send it into overtime in the first place.
Sean McClary commented, Tristan McClary also leading DFW in 6A passing.
Yes, he is. He's top quarterback in 6A right now. Just a monster.
Yeah, good stuff. And it's right here in our own backyard. We're right here, right off the square in Denton, Texas, and we're right in the heart of, again, some of the best football, not just the state of Texas, but the whole country.
We're honored to be able to cover the teams that we're able to cover. Argyle's the number 1 team in 4A right now. Den Ryan's the number 1 team in 5A right now. Braswell and Guy are tops in 6A. Like, it seems like we're talking about so many blowouts and dubs every week, but that's just kind of a blessing that we get here on the show. It's better than covering a bunch of losses every week. You know what I'm saying, John?
Hey, and last up, I'll let you take this one. Man, we're glad to see this. He came off some injuries last year, and we were a little concerned about him early in the season, but running back for the Argyle Eagles,
Tito Bice. We are certainly excited to be able to put Tito Bice up as a gridiron player of the week this week. Led all running backs in scores this week. He was the only running back, I believe. I think the Den Braswell's running back, it was Jamarian Sanford. Jamarian Sanford also had 3 rushing touchdowns this week, but Tito Bice did it on 10 carries. And it's also just been a testament to his story coming back from a brutal ACL injury that he had. And coming into this year, it seems like he was still kind of fighting that injury. But for him to come out this past week, put the Argyle Eagles at 9-0 and be the leading scorer, the lead man in that matchup, despite all the talent that Argyle has, I think Tito Bice certainly deserved the honor this week.
Yeah, congratulations, Tito and the Argyle Eagles. And they just keep getting it done week in, week out.
Number 1 team in 4A. I just said it.
And Grayson, this is one reason, you're passionate about pursuing sports and broadcasting. It's for the fans. And let's see. Actually, I'm getting a little behind here, but Ann Colby says, "Hey, thank you for covering high school sports." And that's what it's all about. Lori Bice tunes in, and of course, she puts a heart up there. I think that might be Tito's mom.
Hey, we just want to say
don't know for sure, but
Tito certainly deserved it this week. He's great story, great kid, and we're just glad to see him back on the field doing what he does best.
Well, man, any closing comments and thoughts, man? What an action-packed show, and we always try to get people out within their lunch hour, and man, that was fast-paced. Any parting comments?
We had a lot of different games and predictions and insights to make. Make sure you guys tune into our game of the week this week. Geyer versus Braswell is where you want to be tuning in. I'm obviously going to be calling Louisville versus Flower Mound. So all my Jaguars fans out there, you can look into that as well. You can go ahead and DM me personally. I'll comment here on the video if you want to know where to listen to my broadcast for Friday. I won't put that here on the show, but if you guys want to know, I'll send you a link personally, and I'll drop a comment here so you guys know where to message me on Facebook.
It's Flower Mound. We can put a link on the show, so check our notes section. We can put a link to that on the show.
Check the comments on this video. We'll give you guys the link.
If you want to tune in, a lot of fans like to bounce around. Tune into a Flower Mound game, tune into Geyer game, a Ryan game. So a lot of the content is out there on live stream now.
Make sure you tune in to this guy right here called Denton Geyer versus
Rick
Braswell.
Threlkel and myself will be on the Geyer call.
I'll be on Flower Mound versus Louisville. So that's pretty fun. I feel like that's the first time that's happened this week.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And man, thank you, the fan, for tuning in, making this one special each and every week.
Episode 11.
Episode 11. Yeah, hard to believe. Episode 11 of season 4.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning
listeners,
in.
thank you for tuning in.
Make sure you guys share this
out. Watch the replay. I personally and I'm kind of tuned out of the news cycles And I call it radio on demand for podcasts and video on demand for, watching replays of the live stream. But hey, for Grayson Nolette, I'm John Piper. That's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for being a part of this one.
From Fox 4, make sure to tune in to the Denton Gridiron Show.